Now You Know BC is brought to you by Return It. Don't trash your empty beverage containers. Return them for the deposit refund.
Welcome to Now You Know BC. I'm Bob Kronbauer, also known as BC Bob. And on this show, I introduce you to interesting people, places to go, things to see, things that have happened in the past. You'll hear our collective stories. This week, I'm digging into a subject that is not near and dear to many people's hearts. In fact, most people frickin' hate it. I hate it. I'm talking about garbage. This is going to be the most garbagey episode we'll ever make. It's trash, but stick around because there's some good stories in here. I promise it'll be worth your time. Did you know that the BC government came up with a plan to recruit children to help trick their parents into not littering? It's true. In the 1950s, littering was a fairly acceptable thing to do. There's actually a scene in Mad Men that sums it up. So when you were done drinking your beer in the park with your family, there's a chance that you would just and when the picnic was finally over, you might just go ahead and these days, if you see somebody throwing litter on the ground, you probably will give them the side eye and somebody will most likely say something to them, and that will most likely involve some swear words. And in BC, the transition from Mad Men to swear words started in the late 1950s. In 1958, the BC Park Service launched a bold plan to, quote, keep beautiful British Columbia green and clean. They wanted this place to be presentable for all the tourists that were going to come here and for all the residents that were driving around in their cars. This was after the war when we saw a huge uptick in people buying vehicles. The plan to keep this place green and clean revolved around the mascot that they called the Garbage Gobbler. This thing right here, in case you were wondering what the heck this thing is that's on our set. It was dreamed up by a dude named Len Shaw and designed by another dude named C.P. Lyons. Hundreds of these things lined the sides of the highways. They printed up 100,000 of these bags, junior garbage gobbler bags, that people were encouraged to keep in their cars. Back then, cars had all sorts of little knobs and stuff in them, so you could just hang this anywhere on your car, maybe on the little window roller-up thingy, whatever they called that thing. And so, when people went on road trips, they would be encouraged to fill up these bags and then get their parents to feed them to the garbage gobblers. Please, Dad, can we pull over and feed the garbage gobbler? This one that we have in the studio is a styrofoam replica of one of the working gobblers. On the real ones, the mouth has a hinge on it that you put your garbage in. You just open the hinge, put your garbage in there. They not only gamified the act of putting trash in its place, but they also implemented a $300 fine for littering at the time, doubling the incentive to feed the garbage gobblers, which were first made out of concrete and weighed 900 pounds and were constructed in Langford. Those turned out to be a little too heavy, so the next generation were made of fiberglass. They lasted a few years out there next to the roads, even though they had one fatal flaw. Inside of the gobblers were regular old trash cans, and the back sides were open to make it easier for crews to empty them out. Unfortunately, that also made it easier for bears and animals to get into them and empty them out from the back. Eventually, they phased these out for animal-proof garbage receptacles, but there are still a few around. I've visited 3 of them in the last year because I am the biggest fan of garbage gobblers in British Columbia. This one is near Ashcroft. This one is at a works yard in Revelstoke, and this one is hiding near another works yard near Macleay's Lake on the drive up to Prince George. Each week, I show you an artifact that's generally part of a museum's collection that you can go and visit, but today I'm switching it up a little bit. I'm talking about something that I own and that is part of this set. I actually own most of this crap except for the chairs and the rug. As you can imagine, as a teller of BC stories and someone who'd rather visit the flea market in Chilliwack than go to the mall, I've got a lot of stuff that has a lot to do with BC. So one day, my wife's good friend, who shall not be named, her name is Jessica Thorburn, she was visiting the Royal BC Museum in Victoria. She texted my wife a photo of this thing, which was in the gift shop, saying, "LOL, I bet Bob would love this." Luckily, I was with my wife when she received this text, so I was able to say yes, 1000% yes. I would absolutely love that. Please tell her to buy that for me immediately. But the price tag on it said that it was $1,500. However, it was marked down several times because nobody wanted it. The final price listed was $50. They were practically giving this thing away. And why was it on sale in the first place? Well, again, it's a replica of a garbage gobbler. It's not a real one. It had been part of a museum exhibition in the 1990s. It had been sitting in storage for a long time. Eventually, someone decided it was taking up too much space and that they should get rid of it. So they did. And I think it landed in pretty much the perfect place. More recently, I bought this original sign off of a collector and 10 of the garbage gobbler bags, making my garbage gobbler collection nearly complete. We're gonna go to break. When we come back, we're gonna talk to the master of all things garbage in British, he's not actually. Brian Scudamore from 1-800-GOT-JUNK. Welcome back to Now You Know BC, where we're talking all about garbage in our province. My guest today is the founder of 1-800-GOT-JUNK, Brian Scudamore. He started his business in Vancouver in 1989, grew it into a massive operation, which he still heads up. He's an entrepreneur's entrepreneur. He helps other people with their businesses and is now an investor on CBC's Dragon's Den. He's easily the most interesting garbage-adjacent person I could think of to interview for this episode. Thank you for joining me,
Let's
Brian.
talk trash, man.
Yeah, let's talk about trash.
Yeah.
Where does it all go? It doesn't just all go to the dump.
No, of course not. I think that's old school. Our numbers are about 61.3% of what we haul away goes to get recycled, reused, donated. We try and repurpose what we haul away as much as we can. So there's a lot of care and attention that goes into it. And some stuff does end up in the landfill, but we try and encourage people not just to get rid of their junk, but to try and offer it to someone else if there is some value.
There was a guy, one of your franchisees in South Van, that used to bring an artist in residence to go through the stuff. Is there other stuff like that happens?
Yeah, he had a neat program. He would bring artists in residence and just they would go through the junk in a warehouse and see what kind of art they could make and then auction it off and sell it. Richard's actually talked about bringing that program back. It was cool. It made for great social media.
I just love the idea of all the stuff that you can find, This whole set is partly junk that I have collected over the years. The amount of stuff that you get. What's the most interesting thing?
But you wouldn't believe the stuff we get. So we've hauled away 18,000 pounds of sardines that were expired in tins. You make the gross face. It wasn't gross. They were all in tins, but nobody could resell them. We hauled away truckloads. I did this myself of escargot shells from an escargot business that went bankrupt. And the guy wanted us to squeeze a whole bunch more into the truck. So we jumped out of the second story of his office, squeezed down all the shells and got in another truckload. I think the most interesting find, the most valuable find, we're all over North America and Australia, but this was a hometown story. Vancouver, we hauled away $400,000, or we found $400,000 in cash. We went to do a renovation cleanup, and one of our guys noticed some cash in the floorboards. Little tiny crack in the floorboards, and it looked like money, and he pointed it out to the owner, and they were doing a reno. They're like, let's jack up the floor. $5.2 million is what it was worth in today's dollars. So $400,000 in 1932 circa bills.
It was just like a bill sticking out of the floor?
Just a tiny little slot of what looked like a bill. And they lifted up the boards and discovered this treasure.
Okay, where did it go?
Oh, to the homeowner. They got a $400,000 discount on their renovation. And our guys got a nice tip. I think they got were taken care of.
Did they know where it came from?
They don't know. Nobody knew. It actually got all over the news, and then a bunch of curious people wondering where it came from, like who hid this money away and why, but the mystery has not been solved.
That is a mystery that needs to be solved.
Yeah.
What about illegal stuff? Like you find money under the floorboards. Do you find anything illegal?
Not really. I mean, we've hauled away bombs. There was an old World War II bomb that apparently was defused, but nobody was sure. This was in Washington, D.C., and so they called the bomb squad literally to come over and ensure that it was safe. Old guns, handguns, rifles, drug paraphernalia.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow. You could do an entire TV series. You guys should do a Netflix series where they follow you around.
Well, there was one called Hoarders. We were on.
My mom's house is deplorable. It's just filled from the floor to the ceiling.
We were on every single episode for 7 years as a cast character.
I didn't know
1-800 Got
that.
Junk Truck in all episodes.
On Hoarders.
And so our teams would show up and help the hoarders get rid of stuff, whether it was a flat cat underneath a box that was mummified. I mean, we found some of the scary. I couldn't even watch the show.
You're on Dragon's Den now.
Yes.
You're an investor on the show, character on the show. Do people now stop you and give you investment pitches on the street when they see you?
I get emailed a lot, people saying, hey, saw you on the show. I applied for Dragon's Den and didn't make it. Maybe you'll consider my investment. And I mentor people and talk to people all the time and share advice and wisdom from my own experience and expertise after 35 years building a franchise group of companies, Shack Shine, Wow One Day Painting, and 1-800 Got Junk. And it's a lot of fun. I love listening to people's vision and ideas, but I've committed right now to all my investments are focused just on the Dragon's Den. I just don't have the capacity to take on more right now. We did 8 deals on TV and 4 turned into actual deals, which is really fun.
What's your favorite one?
Favorite one, I think, and I'm going to exclude others here, they're all amazing, but I think the Mint as a local success story, Mint Cleaning.
In Ucluelet.
In Ucluelet,
Yes.
right next to the Iki Cone place, right?
The Gray Whale Deli. This is a frozen treat only available in Ucluelet. It is called the Yuki Cone. They've been making it here at the Gray Whale Deli for the last 30 years. Everybody should do that cone.
Yeah, but Monica and Robin are so energetic and so fantastic that when they were on the show, you make a decision in an hour whether or not you want to invest in the business. It was almost nothing to do with the business. It was the two of them. Their eyes lit up, the full opportunity that they saw, the runway ahead of them in this business, blew my mind, and so honored to play a role, small role.
Are you going to be back next season?
I am going to be back, and excited to be back. I'm honored, and then get to do some more deals. And I learned a lot. So the first season, they film in 10 days, 10-hour days. You're exhausted beyond belief. I think I know how to manage my energy a little bit more, and it was inspiring to walk away from that show and see hundreds of entrepreneurs. I mean, there was literally 100+ people with ideas and passion and work ethic and determination that left me feeling really pumped up and all in on Canadian entrepreneurship.
What's the best advice you've ever got as an entrepreneur?
Best advice. It's often not what we say yes to, but what we say no to. Making space for the biggest possibilities. And so something I saw in the Dragon's Den that I tried to share with others is, are you focused on this one business you're building, or are you focused on your actual daytime job? Why not go all in? If somebody can't go all in and put everything on the line for this opportunity they're a part of, I think that says that they don't really believe.
All right, cool. Thanks for your time. I'm going
Thank
to
you.
pitch you. I'm going to pitch you. I have
Okay,
an idea.
do it.
I'm not going to pitch you
Good.
now, but
Yeah.
in the future I'll
Okay,
pitch you.
I want to hear it.
Okay. We're going to go to break, and when we come back, roving reporter Nina Savage is going to be on the street talking to people about garbage. Welcome back. Roving reporter Nina Savage is out on the street asking people about garbage. Nina.
I'm Nina Savage, and this is Street Survey. We're here at the Burnaby Eco Center, talking to people about garbage. So why do you go to the Eco Center?
There's just so much crap, mostly packaging from shipping, so it takes up half your tiny space that you can afford these days.
Well, I think it's important to get rid of the stuff that you don't need, and if nobody else can use it, then you should dispose of it appropriately.
You remember the garbage gobblers?
Oh, sure. They're at all the rest stops and everything all across. We used to travel with my parents and the campers and all that. And yeah, you see the litter bugs. I think they call them litter bugs.
What are you recycling today?
Some soft plastics, some used coffee makers.
Well, I'm just recycling a few things. We put it aside, and then when we have a trip down this area, we bring everything all at once.
So it's not just humans that work here and help with your recycling. It's also
a hawk, and her name is Caprice.
I like this place because it's really well organized. You can really tell where you got to go with everything.
Your old laptop, there's still so many good things that are inside, materials that could be broken down, separated out, and then basically our vendors will then take out all those valuable resources and hopefully incorporate those into new technology.
What the seagulls and the crows do is they pick up trash from the, there's a compost pile on the other side of the wall, and it's rotting meat and bones. They take them high in the sky, flying all over town and dropping them because they want to get to the marrow inside the bone, which is really nutritious. Meanwhile, they're hurting people, causing accidents, and so her job is to keep them scared.
If we see someone like trashing on the street, you can only imagine like that person's home.
What's your top tip?
Don't buy the crap in the first place.
Bring it to us. Don't throw it out in the garbage. We can find a place for it.
If you do that outside, like it's the same thing because this is kind of our home, right?
Mm-hmm. Treat the earth with respect.
Exactly. We should. It's the only home we have.
Is she on salary or hourly pay?
She gets paid chicken and quail.
So it turns out a lot of your waste can actually be recycled. We learned a lot here today at the Eco Center in Burnaby. This is Street Survey, and I'm Nina Savage.
We're going on a BC road trip to some of my favorite vintage, thrift, and antique stores in the province. Some of these are filled with priceless gems. Others could literally be described as junk stores filled with junk. The best ones are somewhere in between when you're finding gems amongst junk. And here are 4 of my favorite shops I've driven to in the past year. First is the $2 thrift store in Courtenay, BC. That is literally what it's called. The $2 thrift store. It looks like a lot of junk, and I'll admit there is a lot of junk in there, but there's some gems in there, and everything is $2. They are absolutely true to their name, and it's one of those places that you're gonna have to work on it and dig into a lot of stuff and eventually find a hidden gem. Second, Switzer's in Chilliwack is right next to Brian Minter's Garden Center, and there's no digging involved here. It's all good stuff, and the prices are great. I've bought a lot of my felt pennants from Switzer's. They range from $15 to $30 each, and they have a great section that has old kitchen stuff and dishware. Third, Uncle Al's in Blind Bay, right off the highway between Sorrento and Salmon Arm. Looks scary on the outside, but the guy who runs it, Al, is the nicest dude you're ever gonna meet. Last time I was there, I was looking for a place to rent a boat. Al doesn't have a cell phone, so he just drew me up a sweet looking map. Here it is, telling me exactly where to find a boat to rent. He also told me where to find a cold beer. Fourth, Blast from the Past Antiques in Vernon is right next to KFC on the highway, and I'm gonna say it. This is my favorite antique store in British Columbia. I only recently went into this place. I was born and raised in Vernon and didn't know about this place. And I went in and I bought way too much stuff. It's 2 floors with multiple themes of sections, and it's hard to explain how great it is, but it really, really is the best. You've gotta go here. Enjoy your BC road trip. We're gonna go to break. When we come back, I'm gonna give away some stuff, and I'm gonna tell you some more trashy stories. Did you know that Falls Creek in Vancouver used to go all the way to Clark Drive, and that it was filled in with literal garbage so that they could make more land? It's true. There actually used to be a bridge on Main Street that went over Falls Creek. Looking at a map of it, what it used to look like is kind of wild. Before colonization, the Tsleil-Waututh, Musqueam, and Squamish folks relied on this part of Falls Creek for harvesting oysters and sea asparagus and other foods. But by the late 1800s, the toxins from all the industry that popped up in the area pretty much made that impossible. And a common nickname for Falls Creek back then was Creek. Can I say Arav? Maybe put something over that when I say Anyway, the city started filling it up in 1912 because they wanted to make more industrial land as well as a railway terminal. They filled it with the dirt that they dug up while making the Grandview Cut when they then put the rail lines in there. and that's where they still run. The SkyTrain and the Millennium Line both operate along the cut. So if you've taken the SkyTrain, you've been in the Grandview Cut. It looks like a natural ravine. It's actually man-made. Along with the dirt from the cut, they also trucked in tons and tons and tons of garbage from the landfill. By the time they finished in 1917, they had made 150 acres of new land, largely out of trash. The railway terminal opened up in 1919, and it's still there to this day. Falls Creek Flats, as we know it, is named that because it used to mostly be mud flats when the tide went out. And the city was still talking about filling in more of Falls Creek all the way to Granville Street, the other direction, until the 1950s. It's been a while since a politician brought up the idea of doing that because it's, well, safe to say, it's not a good idea. So if anybody ever tells you that they think this area of Vancouver is garbage, they're not entirely wrong. And now you know. I'm giving away this garbage Gobbler skateboard, which is definitely, without a doubt, the most niche BC history skateboard graphic of all time. The design was a collaboration between me and BC's own Pylon Skateboards. Pylon was founded in 2020, and they proudly make their boards in Canada. My friend Paul Higgins is one of the people who runs Pylon. And one day I randomly told him the story of the garbage gobblers. I don't even know how it came up, but he was like, we gotta make a board with that on it. I was excited that he was excited. And I think we both knew that the concept was almost too niche to sell many of them. So we designed this graphic together, and he produced a small run of them along with a bunch of little trash containers. And they wound up selling 3 million garbage gobbler boards. No, I'm just kidding. They sold a few. They've still got a few left. And as a favor to you and a favor to Paul so he can free up some warehouse space and make some new boards that people will actually buy, we're gonna give 2 of these away. Sign up to my newsletter at bcbob.ca and you'll be entered to win one of these and other weekly prizes. That's the show for this week. Big thanks to Lisa Durrell and Brian Scudamore at 1-800-GOT-JUNK, Paul at Pylon Skateboards, Uncle Al in Blind Bay, and lastly, thank you to the person who works at BC Ferries that found and returned my wallet to me that one time. That was next level customer service. I hope you learned something, and I hope you know that the most important R of the 3 R's is reduce. Follow me on Instagram, check out my merch at bcbob.ca, and we'll see you next week when we explore more stories about this great province of ours. Now you know BC.